never believed in it until like probably late last year, because it was like that whole time where I was like searching, I was like, man, I still have this vision where it's like, I am building a business, I'm working for myself in some capacity, I'm doing something in commerce, I just don't know what it is, I have to find it. And it's like, once I find it though, it's like, after all these trials and tribulations, it's like, it'll make more sense and I'll be successful at it because I know that's what I want and that's what I'm good at and that's where my skill set is. And it was almost like the investors group thing was a bit of a fiasco, but like these other two failures in between there, like crystallized and galvanized my like resolve that it was like, wow, that was the job for you. Those circumstances at that last firm you can't control, but now you're given this golden opportunity and it's like, you can control what you're doing, you know more about yourself because of these prior experiences, and you have the great team behind it. And it was just like, boom. So like
all those things over all those years just were like coming together eventually.
Literally, and it was just like, yeah, it was like the weirdest serendipitous thing. But like, once again, it was like, ate a lot of shit. Yeah, man. That wasn't fun. Like, that was one of the personal lowest times of my life, was early 2017. It was literally like, I left that job. I left the cover band too. I was in a cover band for like a year in like 2016. And by the end of that, I was just totally burnt out. It was just, the money wasn't worth it for me. And they got new guys and everything. And it was like, kudos to them. No hate on my behalf to those guys. And I wish them the best of luck. But like, it was such a tumult. Because I literally went from like job to this job. And it was just like, holy shit. And it galvanized my resolve. And like, it let me know, it was like, wow, this is why I chose this job in this industry in the first place. It just, and I've never looked back, and it's been going well. Like, it's been going well, so I can't really ask for much more. And that would be like my remarks to any young individual, is just like, you're in your early 20s. Like, I don't know, I think I'm just marginally older than you. I'm like 28.
Yeah, I'm 24.
So, like, that's the time you should be doing these stupid tours and just eating all the shit you can.
Yeah, man. I think life is like, the reason people love playing like RPGs and stuff, because I think it activates those same dopaminergic reward system responses in your brain. Because what happens in an RPG, you go through a series of challenges and you accumulate skills along the way, but then the challenges get proportionately more difficult as you become more capable as the character in the game, and then you succumb over those challenges and gain more skills. And it's like, that's exactly what you're doing in life. You go through all these different experiences. Like, my experiences mountain biking and running on teams and snowboarding, playing in bands, all these experiences like built me, and like the ones I'm gonna have next are gonna build me even more. And by the time I'm 50, if I did a half alright job, I'm gonna be an alright person,
Man, there are some universe on the subject of like RPGs and D&D in general. I want to give a shout out to my boy Greg Wadden. He's in a band called Rite on Yukon. That's his little brainchild, and anyways, it's something I sessioned in with him and done a lot of bass with him on. He was a big D&D nerd too. And I remember it was hilarious because like we'd always find analogies in life and use D&D as an analogy. Yeah. It's like, man, you only got so many skill points, man. You got to know where to put them. You can't be good at everything. If you create a character that's like trying to be good at everything, you're just gonna be bad at everything. It's like, you really got to focus in. Like, what are you gonna be?
Man, that's the conundrum of young people. Like, I remember when I was like in limbo post professional aims with bands, right?
Yeah.
And I felt in a lot of ways like I do when I get really baked and I stand in the chip aisle at the grocery store.
Yes! I fucking love crisps.
There's too many fucking options.
Oh, God. So yes, like, I'm paralyzed.
How do I know which chip's the right chip for me?
What salty goodness should I ingest? Really? Yeah, it's the greatest question of them all, Aaron.
So that's how I felt. I was like, I could go in any direction. Which one am I going to go in? And it's like, you can't make that decision lightly. And you come to a conclusion, you head in a certain direction, you might hit a brick wall and be like, oh, okay, now I know that wasn't the right move. Or you might get, more validation that is the right move. Yeah. But you don't know until you start moving in a direction.
Yeah.
And that's like one of the things I learned from downhill mountain biking. It was one of the first things one of the older guys that was teaching me said to me was, if you look at the tree, you're going to drive into the tree. So he said, look where you want to go. It's like in life, you have to have a direction. And you have to look where you want to go and go there. But if you're just always, you have to pay heed to what can get in your way, obviously.
Yeah.
But you need to focus most of your attention, I think, on the goal that you're heading towards. And then once you set your that's kind of like how you orientate yourself. And then you attend to the tasks at hand in the present moment. And then, because sometimes the present moment is you're just wiping your ass. And if you do a shitty job at that, that's, people are going to smell your shit. And then you're going to stink. And you're going to have rash on your butthole. And it sucks. It's like
it's real dang.
It's important to wipe your ass properly. And it's important to wash the dishes. And it's important to make your bed. And it's important to go to work on time. And it's all these little things. But I think a lot of people, I know I felt this way years ago. Like, there's just, I didn't have that sense of significance with after I started doing psychedelics, I had this sense that just existing was profound in some way, and then I should pay attention to it. But it didn't really get concrete enough until I started setting my sights on some other goal in the future, because you can't just swim around in a blissful present moment forever.
No.
The fact of the looming future beckons, and you have to chart your course through it. At least a course, and then if it turns out to be wrong, it's okay. You learn something. Chart the next course.
Yeah. And I think I'm with Jack Ma. I don't know if you're familiar with who he is. He's the executive CEO of Alibaba, which is a gigantic it's the Amazon of China and East Asia, effectively. And I remember he said something, and it was what is it? In your 20s, it's really you should be finding a mentor.
Yeah.
You should be working somewhere and just gathering as many skills as you can, whether it's you're working with somebody or you're working by yourself, and it's just doing as many things as possible, trying on as many hats, because it's this is the time to fail. And it seems to be a running theme tonight. It's the whole thing where eating shit gets you to the good shit, you know, really.
Gets you to
and it's
and
yeah, it's what Jack Ma was saying. It's during your your 20s, that is the prime time. Go and try on all those hats, because it's you're not going to know what you want at 20.
You don't know until you go and have those misadventures.
And because it's once again our misadventures with even music. It's we're not doing it as a career, but it's we know and we tried and we went in hard, and it's great, and we're better for it.
Yeah, totally. And it's it's also I still love picking up my guitar from time to time, and someday when I'm older and have a home studio, I'll record shit again. And
it's always going to be a passion.
Yeah, it's always part of you, and it doesn't leave. It's just the focus changes. But yeah, I think that shit's so crucial. One of the things that your story made me think about was I found a lot of benefit in temping for work, temp agencies.
Oh yeah.
Especially playing in bands and going through college, and then after college for years, I was just doing temp agency stuff, because at any moment I could say I need a month off for tour, or a few weeks off for recording, or whatever. I can't work tonight because I have band practice or anything. I could just at any point say no to work, and then that wouldn't always be good, because sometimes I just wouldn't want to go, and I could just get away with it, So I had to make sure I went often enough. But I wound up doing so many fucking goddamn different jobs, man. Just fucking fast food jobs and random ass forklift jobs and warehouse jobs and manual labor jobs and building warehouse racks and installing different shit and just all these different experiences, call center too for a while, and it wound up kind of eventually things crystallized. One of the things that's kind of defined the last few years for me was I really realized the value of hard work, just sucking it up and going to work and giving it everything you got. And for me, it tends to be physical, but it doesn't always have to be.
We're on totally different ends of the spectrum with that, I don't like physical labor, quite frankly.
I don't really like it either, but I just started to see the value.
I don't like doing that, but it's you need to try on all those hats though, because it's dude, you don't know what the fuck you want at 20. And it's that, and that's going to metamorphosize as time goes on. And it's who knows, maybe in fucking 5 or 3 years, maybe this won't be what I want. I don't know.
Yeah. I
highly doubt it, quite frankly. However, it's it's just you're always changing, and like you have to avail yourself to those opportunities and those like key learning experiences. And it's like back to what I was saying, even with like the whole Jack Ma thing, it's like at your 30s, it's like if you're thinking about starting a business, that's when you should do it. That's your last chance. If you haven't already done it in your 20s, you gotta do it in your 30s.
Yeah.
And just give her. Fucking drive it in, try to kick the fucking door in. Yeah. And then at 40, it's like, you should probably be settled at this point. Like, you should know what you want and work your ass towards it. Like, you should have the goal. It's either it's your business or it's you're in the company and you're excelling at it. And then at 50, it's like, you should be mentoring.
Yeah. And that's one thing that people are missing out on too. Like, young people just don't want to take advice from older people. It's like this arrogance again. It's like, these people have been around the block. They know what they're talking about. I mean, some of them are fucking whack jobs for sure.
Oh, dude,
but
totally.
I'd be nowhere without the elders, you know.
But it's like, once again, it's like, you know, I know I'm using like a very limited like scope of like kind of looking at this and examining it, but it's like, you know, like even in the industry I work with, like one of the biggest things that's paid off, like the dividends are still paying off, is just talking to every single guy and girl in person that has made it. Like past like 5 or 10 years, like anybody who has built a sustainable practice or is like lasted in the industry, it's like, what the fuck makes you tick? Who the fuck are you? What do you do? What do you eat for breakfast? Like, I want to know, like, what makes you tick? Because it's like, dude, like there's some valuable advice, and I still commit some of the sins, but I've definitely like taken on some of the things that are like things you have to do, the things you can't not do.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like, and it's all because of like, man, like there is wisdom in these people and these old dogs, and like there's definitely things that like you don't want to take, but like that's part of the learning experience. It's like how do you improve unless you know what's wrong too?
Yeah,
you know,
that's
and it's like, and if you can't like ID it, like, you know, I would be more concerned at myself if I went in and like everybody had the right thing to say. I'm glad that like sometimes I walk away from those meetings with like these seniors and I'm like, you're fucking whack. Like, this isn't going to last. I'm glad you're retiring in less than 10 years. Because it's like, like, you're going to get hammered by, like, either compliance or the government or some regulation's going to change and you're going to be fucked. You know, like, it's just...
you learn what not to do, for sure.
Exactly. You learn what not to do as much, and they've seen what not to do. Yeah. And they know what, like, who's made it. You've been here for 20 years. You've seen people who've made it and who've like succeeded, and it's like, and who have failed miserably at it. And it's like, what were the things that you saw? And it's like, if I see these are red flags to me, and if I see these are green lights to me. And it's like, it's good to know. It's like, all right, and there's running themes once you start learning that. And it's like, I think part of your responsibility as like a professional or as just an individual is to mentor people. I think like that saves a lot of heartache for a lot of people. And to become that proficient at something too, where you're in a position to actually do that with somebody too, that speaks a lot to you.
It's like your duty to then share it for the.
And I see it as that, like I wouldn't want to be 50 at something and not be a paragon of excellence. Yeah. Like, what the fuck am I doing with myself if, like, at 50, I am not proficient at anything? Like, what have I done with myself, though? Like, you ask yourself this question, and, like, it keeps me up at night sometimes. I'm just like, I hope at 50 I'm able to mentor somebody in something financial. Like, I'm hoping I'm able to make another young Jay Zito, some Asian kid from Cape Breton who wants to fucking do this. I don't know. And I'm able to be in that position where it's like, I am a referable source, I'm a book of knowledge on this, and I'm an asset to this individual. Yeah. And it's like, I can only hope I become that. But it's like, man, if you're not that by 50, come on, dog. Like, something went terribly wrong.
I keep on thinking about that too. Like, for me, the thought that's been recurring for me is that same one. Like, who am I going to be at 50? What kind of man am I going to be at 50? It just keeps on going on in my head. Like, everything else I hardly think about. Just like, I think about where I want to be at 50 and I do what I have to do now and I'm charting my course through it. And, that's like, I definitely want to fucking be someone. I want to be a real person. I want to be a real man. I want to be grown up and
like,
formed.
I even like together. I don't need to be doing TED Talks or nothing. I don't need to be doing fucking like things at universities or nothing like that. Like, I don't have to be a guest speaker at an event, but it's like, I want to at least do that.
Well, the thing that's amazing today too is like the internet, man. Like, I take so much influence from people I follow on the internet that I would have never heard of otherwise, ever. Like Cameron Haynes was a bow hunter and an athlete. He, this guy fucking runs these ultra marathons that are like 100 miles, 200 miles, 250 miles. He works a full-time job. He hunts with a bow and arrow as much as he can. He lifts weights every day. He runs